It's Friday, September 19th, 2025. Happy Friday to you. Welcome to your daily news update on Blip Brief, small but almost everything updated every weekday. Okay, let's jump straight into the Indian markets. Another pretty solid day. We saw the indices close higher for the third day in a row.
That's right. Both the BSE Sensex and the Nifty 50, they climbed about, what, 0.4% each?
Exactly. So for you listening, the natural question is, what's fueling this? Seems like this latest bit of momentum was really carried by that positive feeling after the U.S. Federal Reserve cut rates, which everyone sort of expected.
Mm-hmm. And we'll dig into that Fed decision more in a bit, the global side of it.
Right. But sticking with India for now, if we drill down a bit, Nifty Pharma really kind of stole the show. Big gains there, about 1.5%.
So that's significant.
Yeah. And Nifty Health, BSC Healthcare, also strong performers, up around 1.3% and 0.9% respectively. Even BSE IT saw a nice little bump, about 0.8%.
Interesting. Tech joining in, too.
Yeah. And on specific stocks, Eternal jumped roughly 2.9 to 3.0%. HDFC Life Insurance also looked good, gaining around 2.2%. Okay. And then you had Sun Pharma up about 1.8%, Infosys around 1.2%. So some decent green arrows.
But it's never all one way, is it?
No, exactly. Yeah. Always a mixed bag. We saw Coal India slip back about 1.6%. Tata Motors was down around 1.1%. And Bajaj Finance also dipped about 1.1%. So yeah, overall positive, but, nuanced.
That's a good picture of the market pulse. And it really shows how these day-to-day moves connect to bigger economic things happening. I mean, take Maruti Suzuki.
Right, the price cuts.
Exactly. They're slashing prices across the board. Now, this isn't just clearing stock. It looks like a very deliberate move to pass on those lower GST benefits fully.
Trying to get people spending again?
Precisely. Stimulate that consumer demand, give the auto sector a shot in the arm, and hopefully that ripples out, into the wider economy. It's a classic fiscal lever being pulled.
Makes sense.
And if we look at jobs, the whole employment picture is shifting too. India's flexi workforce, that's projected to go past 9 million by FY27.
Wow, 9 million.
Yeah, it's a huge number. And it signals this fundamental change, right? Agility, adaptability that's becoming key for businesses, for workers.
But there's a flip side.
Well, yes. This growth in flexible work kind of throws a spotlight on another issue. For the last decade, those exports that traditionally create a lot of jobs, they've actually lagged behind the overall growth in shipments.
Interesting point. So is our trade strategy creating enough jobs?
That's the crucial question, isn't it, for policymakers and for you watching the economy. Is there a mismatch there that needs looking at to make sure growth actually means more employment across the board?
Something to watch.
Definitely. And one last point on the financial infrastructure side. Things are still moving there. SMBC finished buying its stake in Yes Bank. That signals, continued confidence in the banking sector here.
Okay.
And also, NEBI FID, the National Bank for Financing Infrastructure and Development, they're aiming for what they call a significant book by FY30.
Meaning more lending for big projects.
Exactly. Building up a really substantial portfolio to back those large-scale infrastructure plans, that's pretty fundamental if India is going to hit its big economic goals.
Right, laying the groundwork. Okay, that's a great look at the domestic scene. Lots happening. Let's shift gears now to currencies and the global picture, because the rupee had an interesting day.
It did, after that winning streak.
Yeah, 4 days of gains, and then it reversed. Closed lower by roughly 0.36% against the dollar.
Oh. Why the change?
Well, seems like two main things. Weakness in some other Asian currencies kind of pulled it down. And maybe a little surprisingly, some cautious words from the U.S. Fed, even though they did cut rates.
The forward guidance.
Exactly. It just shows how those global signals can really ripple through, even affecting your own portfolio planning.
You nailed it there. That Fed decision, cutting rates by 25 basis points, first cut this year, was huge. Send optimism through global markets. Wall Street rallied, helped our markets close higher, like you said.
Yeah.
But the nuance, as you pointed out, was in what they said next, the forward guidance. Despite the cut, they sounded, cautious. Still watching inflation, watching the data closely.
So not promising lots more cuts just yet.
Exactly. And that tempered things a bit, created some uncertainty. That's likely why we saw the rupee and other Asian currencies dip, as investors thought, okay, maybe fewer cuts down the line than we hoped. It's that delicate balance between action and words, isn't it?
It really is.
And looking wider, this Fed move also fits into the ongoing story of India-U.S. trade. The chief economic advisor sounded quite optimistic, actually, thinks that tariff dispute might get sorted in the next couple of months.
Really? That would be big.
It would. Could lead to a maybe 10–15% tariff cut by the U.S. on some Indian goods. For you tracking India's economy, that's a potential major boost for exporters.
Definitely unlock some market access.
For sure. And speaking of trade, India and the UAE, they're not just talking, they're aiming high. Doubling non-oil, non-precious metal trade to $100 billion in the next 3 or 4 years.
Wow, doubling it. That's ambitious.
Very. Shows a strategic push for diversification for both countries, moving beyond just traditional commodities.
But this global picture, it's not all smooth sailing, is it? Especially with geopolitics.
No, definitely not. And a really critical development to watch is Chabahar Port. The U.S. recently revoked the sanctions waiver for Iran's Chabahar port.
Right, I saw that. What's the impact for India?
Well, it's a direct challenge, really. India has invested a lot, strategically, in Chabahar. The idea was to create this reliable trade route to Afghanistan and Central Asia, importantly, bypassing Pakistan.
A key connectivity project.
Absolutely. Unlocking access to landlocked nations, boosting India's influence. This revocation forces India to rethink. Do they lean more on the INSTC route through Russia, or try to use diplomatic channels with the U.S. and Iran to protect their Chabahar interests?
A tricky balancing act.
A very complex tightrope walk. Shows how fast those geopolitical pieces can shift on the board.
Absolutely. A real test for India's strategy there.
Yeah.
And speaking of geopolitics, let's touch on a few other global events shaping things. First, there was that huge earthquake in Russia's Kamchatka region.
Yeah, 7.8 magnitude. That's
That's
massive.
huge. Triggered tsunami warnings initially, but thankfully, it seems no significant damage or casualties reported, which is, frankly, a huge relief.
Definitely good news there.
Now, closer to home, and with potentially more direct implications for India, that new strategic defense pact between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan.
Right, that raised some eyebrows.
It did. India's Congress Party flagged it straight away, saying it has grave implications for national security. For you listening, this isn't just political noise. It highlights how these regional alliances shifting can really change the power balance.
Alters the dynamics in the neighborhood.
Exactly. Could impact strategic calculations. Maybe it requires India to reassess its own defense posture. Just shows how fluid things are.
Very fluid. And on the diplomatic stage at the UN, there was an interesting block. The U.S., U.K., and France put a temporary hold on a joint Pakistan-China proposal.
What was the proposal?
To list the Balochistan Liberation Army and the Magid Brigade as terrorist groups under UN sanctions. The reason given for the block: insufficient evidence.
Shows the complexities of those designations.
It really does. High stakes, geopolitical interests often involved, and a high bar for evidence required for that kind of international consensus.
Meanwhile, trying to navigate sanctions, Russia's Sberbank has done something interesting with an Indian app. Check.
Yeah, that's right. A partnership to let Russian tourists make cashless payments here in India. It's essentially a workaround, right? Bypassing those card networks hit by sanctions.
Creative financing.
It's a strategic move to keep tourism and trade flowing, finding alternative financial paths in this complex global setup.
Definitely creative. Okay, so as the geopolitical plates shift, the corporate world is making its own moves. Lots happening there, too. Let's start with pharma. Lupin got a big approval.
Yes, U.S. FDA approval for their generic version of lenalidomide capsules. That's a major cancer drug.
So, good news for Lupin, but also broader implications.
Absolutely. Generic versions like this are crucial for making these critical, often expensive treatments more affordable and accessible to patients globally. It really highlights India's strength as a supplier of quality, cost-effective medicines.
Right, the pharmacy of the world aspect.
Exactly. And speaking of global reach, there's talk that Dorf Ketal, the Mumbai-based specialty chemicals firm, is in advanced talks to buy Italy's Italmatch Chemicals.
That sounds like a big deal.
Huge. We're talking potentially $1.6 billion. It signals major consolidation in that specialized chemical space. And for you watching industry trends, it shows Indian companies really stepping up, aiming for leadership in high-value manufacturing globally.
Cross-border M&A heating up.
Definitely. And in tech services, the WNS merger with Capgemini looked set to close by the end of October. That's another strategic move, consolidating market position, boosting capabilities, especially important with AI changing everything.
And speaking of AI, NVIDIA made waves with that Intel investment.
Monumental news. NVIDIA putting $5 billion into Intel. Sent both stocks rallying. It's fascinating, isn't it? Fierce competitors finding ways to collaborate in this incredibly high-stakes AI and semiconductor race.
Shows how critical this tech is.
Absolutely foundational. But the competition isn't pausing. Almost right after that, Huawei unveiled its own AI chip plans, and they were pretty explicit. They're aiming to challenge NVIDIA's dominance.
So the race is just accelerating.
It's speeding up incredibly fast.
Hmm.
This isn't just about launching new products. It's a global contest for technological supremacy in AI, in chips, the technologies that will underpin everything from cloud computing to autonomous driving. It's a strategic battle playing out at warp speed.
It really is. Okay, from those global market and geopolitical maneuvers, let's dive into something truly mind-bending now. Scientific innovation. Imagine motors smaller than a human hair.
Wow.
Scientists have actually built them, micromotors. But here's the kicker. They run on laser light, not tiny gears or batteries.
Light-powered motors. How does that even work?
It's amazing. They create these tiny structures, microgears basically, and they use precisely aimed laser beams to make them spin, change direction, even power other tiny machines. Light itself creates the torque, the rotational force at this minuscule scale.
So, no moving mechanical parts in the traditional sense.
Essentially, no, it's rethinking motion generation at the nanoscale. It's not just miniaturization, it's a whole new approach.
Okay, that's not just a cool lab experiment. That sounds potentially revolutionary.
That's what the experts are saying.
The implications could be immense. Think about medical tools, devices working right down at the cellular level.
Like what specifically?
Well, imagine diagnostics. Tiny machines that could maybe find a single diseased cell among millions of healthy ones, incredible accuracy. Or targeted drug delivery instead of flooding your system. These micromotors could perhaps navigate directly to the problem area and deliver medication right where it's needed.
Minimizing side effects, maximizing impact.
Exactly. That could fundamentally change how we treat so many diseases.
And beyond medicine.
Oh, think about environmental monitoring. Tiny light-powered sensors detecting pollutants at the molecular level in water, for instance. Or advanced manufacturing, assembling micro-components with incredible precision.
The possibilities seem huge.
They are. Of course, there are massive engineering challenges controlling the light precisely, designing structures that respond correctly, but the core idea, using light to power motion at this scale, it's a game changer. It really forces us to rethink mechanics in the microscopic world.
A glimpse into a future where science fiction meets reality.
Absolutely. A future operating on an almost invisible scale. Truly fascinating stuff.
And just before you go, a quick note. This deep dive commentary was put together using advanced AI. We always strive for accuracy, but please do cross-verify any crucial information yourself. Your informed decisions are what matter most.